What do names such as Drew McIntyre, Shawn Michaels and Brock Lesnar all have in common? While they all had amazing second runs in WWE, these runs were filled with success and acclaimed matches, but this isn't always the case for returning superstars. Sometimes when a superstar returns for their second run, it can fall completely flat and leave them and WWE wishing they never returned in the first place. But which wrestlers were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE superstars who had a disastrous second run in the company. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Kurt Angle. Our fans were elated in 2017 when it was announced that Kurt Angle would be returning to WWE. Angle would return as general manager of Raw, but it wasn't before long that Angle stepped back into the squared circle. Sadly, this wasn't the Angle that departed the WWE back in 2006. This version of Angle had a lot of physical issues and he couldn't put on quality matches that fans expected. Even when WWE gave him great opponents such as AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, the matches just didn't click and meet the standard that Angle himself would have wanted. This all culminated in Angle's official retirement match at WrestleMania 35. Angle would retire in a match against Baron Corbin in a lackluster affair that failed to make anyone shine. Number 9. Lord Tensai. WWE had huge plans for Lord Tensai when he returned to WWE in 2012. Tensai had previously gone under the names of A-Train and Albert during his initial run, and he didn't do too bad, winning the World Tag Team titles with Tess and even becoming Intercontinental Champion. And due to his triumphs in Japan, WWE believed that Tensai could still be a huge star for the company, and there were even discussions about making him win the WWE title. Tensai even secured a huge victory over John Cena, which clearly highlighted how much faith they had in the future NXT trainer. The issue was that fans remembered Tensai's previous character, so every time he was in the ring, he would be heckled with chants of Albert. WWE had no choice but to cancel his push and move him down the card. His second run was so bad that he would end up in a tag team with Brodus Clay before choosing to retire and become a full-time trainer. Number 8. Alberto Del Rio. When Alberto Del Rio answered John Cena's US title open challenge at the 2015 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, it took fans by surprise. Del Rio had departed the WWE in 2014 due to unprofessional conduct and had hit headlines in the months that followed for less than flattering personal reasons. Del Rio's return was rather strange as he was mainly used to put over other talent and fans simply had no interest in seeing the once popular superstar in the ring. His run as US champion fell flat, and he without a doubt shouldn't have been the one to end Cena's amazing title reign. He would also join an infamous group known as the League of Nations, but he was vastly overshadowed by every other member of the stable. He spent a total of 10 months back in the company before a wellness policy failure in the summer of 2016 led to his departure. Del Rio claimed that he asked for his release due to the WWE breaking promises relating to a main event level push, but the validity of this claim remains to be seen. Number 7. EC3. During EC3's first run in WWE, he would go under the name of Derek Bateman, and fans were never given a valid reason to care about him. However, when he departed the WWE and debuted for TNA as EC3, he became a main event level superstar. EC3 got into the best shape of his career and his promo and in-ring work vastly improved. This eventually forced WWE to bring him back. He would have a brief run in NXT before being called up to Raw. This Raw run was a complete disaster, and it all started due to Vince McMahon taking issue with the fact that during a match that EC3 had against Dean Ambrose, Ambrose was being the one cheered. He appeared to get the blame for this and was subsequently removed from television and eventually released. WWE never realized what they had with EC3 and it was a truly missed opportunity. Number 6. Rob Van Dam. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2013 saw Rob Van Dam make his grand return to WWE. RVD was popular with fans and this maintained throughout his run, and the issue was that WWE really didn't know how to present the former WWE champion. RVD entered into a world title feud with Alberto Del Rio shortly after his return. This feud was underwhelming as WWE put more focus on Ricardo Rodriguez than either Del Rio or RVD. For the next year, RVD lingered around the mid-card without even having a meaningful feud. He would depart the WWE once again in summer of 2014, putting an end to a miserable second run for one of the most talented performers in WWE history. Number 5. Mickie James. And for whatever reason, WWE decided to portray Mickie James as a side character when she returned to the company in 2017. She would debut as an associate of Alexa Bliss, and this continued on and off throughout the next year or two. Mickie was still one of those best in-ring talents in the women's division, but this did little to influence WWE into booking her into a meaningful spot. Now, an argument can be made that Mickie was injured a lot during her second WWE run. Whilst this was true, in the time that she spent active, WWE tried to diminish her role as much as possible. In April of 2021, Mickie was officially released from the company, and this release caused a ton of controversy as Mickie had her belongings sent to her in a trash bag, which naturally provoked outrage from fans and fellow wrestlers. WWE made up for their mistakes by having her in the 2022 Royal Rumble. Number 4, Eva Marie. Eva Marie perhaps wasn't the top of everyone's list of names they wanted to see return, but WWE rather interestingly decided to bring Eva back in 2021. Eva's second run was just as terrible as her first. Her in-ring work hadn't improved and she didn't fit with a roster of talented women. In November of 2021, Eva was released from her WWE contract. Her return was a complete waste of time, it didn't achieve anything, and it was simply a waste of money. Number 3, The Ultimate Warrior. In 1996, WWE decided to bring back the controversial superstar known as the Ultimate Warrior. Warrior's departure a few years prior didn't go so smoothly, and WWE hoped that Warrior would come back to WWE with a reformed character. Now, sadly, this wasn't the case. They had huge plans for him. They wanted to present him as a huge attraction, similarly to how they presented Andre the Giant. Warrior made his grand return at WrestleMania 12, squashing the future Triple H in one of the most infamous WrestleMania matches of all time. Warrior then had 2 lackluster feuds with Goldust and Jerry the King Lawler, and neither of these made a lasting impression on fans, nor did they lead to a substantial increase in WWE revenue. By the summer of 1996, Warrior was once again out of the company. He claimed that WWE had breached their end of his new contract, and this was something which WWE and Vince McMahon outright denied. Warrior and WWE would remain on bad terms right up until 2014, where Warrior agreed to rejoin the WWE family by entering the WWE Hall of Fame. Number 2, Gail Kim. Gail Kim took a huge risk by returning to WWE in 2009. She was leaving behind TNA, where she was presented as a top female star, and it was unclear how she would be presented in WWE. Gail quickly found out that the women's division wasn't what she thought it was. Gail would have to get used to being barely featured on television, and if she was ever featured, her matches would just be over a few minutes in length. Gail never managed to receive a meaningful storyline during her second run, and this frustration boiled over to her leaving WWE in 2011. She would leave the company in a rather controversial way as she decided to eliminate herself from a battle royal, as this was how little she cared about the women's division at the time. And number 1, the Dudley Boys. The summer of 2015 featured the return of the Dudley Boys to WWE after over a decade away. The run started off well as they ended the feud with the New Day, but for whatever reason, the matches between the two popular teams didn't click, and it was clear that WWE had no interest in giving the Dudleys another run with the tag titles. Following the feud with the New Day, WWE decided to turn the duo heel, but this heel run fell flat, as the crowd didn't want to boo them, especially as their new characters focused on never using tables ever again. After making random television appearances for the next few months, the team would depart the WWE in the summer of 2016, putting an end to a miserable second run for one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Well, there you have it, folks, 10 WWE superstars who had a disastrous second run in the company. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.